Welcome everyone to our second webinar. In this case, I'm honored to be with Gianluca Rosania and Katrinay Collier. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, Collier?
Sounds way better than when I say it.
French originally?
No.
No?
No, it's actually it's actually, even though I'm divorced, it's my married name. And it comes from the mines, the people that worked in the mines, the colliers. But of course you think choker as well with the Collier. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
super interesting.
Fine.
So thank you very much for joining and agreeing to have this conversation. I think as we shared in the expectations about this webinar are to have a conversation around recruitment and the situation with COVID and talent. Candidate experience. We say. I read in your book, Katrina. I'm going to be referencing sometimes all these buzzwords. All these.
It might show occasionally.
Exactly. I was thinking to put it here also. Nick, look, I don't have yours. I should put yours too here.
Don't worry.
We can do both sides.
Exactly. But I really agree also, and it happened a lot in technology in general, which is more my background, that all these words sometimes we forget why they are there. So my apologies if I use them sometimes in the wrong word. I mean the best intentions to refer to whatever we were talking about. Okay,
that's all good.
So I could introduce you, but I was thinking, and it's something that happens to me. We're having some bandwidth problems with Gianluca. Is it only to me, or you?
Hi, Gianluca. He's gone.
Hello. No.
He's a black box.
Perfect. We can hear you.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yeah. So I was thinking, if that's okay with you, that you can do a short introduction a little bit about yourself, if you're okay with it. I think people can all go to your websites and see, but I think it's interesting to know, how you present yourself.
Don't go to my website. My website needs an update. Shall I go first? Ladies first and all that?
Please. Yeah.
Old people before young people. Right. So, yes, I am Katrinay Collier. I have been a recruiter since, I entered the industry in 2003. Spent years agency side, in-house, and then I was training on social recruiting and sourcing for a long time. And then Kogan Page asked me to write a book. So I wrote this, which you may know, The Robot Proof Recruiter, which is all about human first, technology second, being better recruiters, better engagement, better response rates, all that kind of stuff. And I'm very, very proud of it. And I have to say the royalties from my book go to a wonderful charity called Hope for Justice. So if I plug it constantly, that's why. They're an amazing charity. In London, I also run, in the UK, I run 4 Disrupt HR events, which are like the side hobby that took over. But my day job now is I'm just about to launch a mastermind off the back of the book, which aims to get the human first skills developed in our newer recruiters into the industry. So they're probably in the first few years of their recruitment, up to say 5 or 6 years. So that's launching next month, and I do a lot of facilitation. So I am shifting a little bit, rather than facilitating with recruiters. I'm really wanting to get to hiring managers and improve their behavior with candidates, because I think it will have a much bigger impact on the entire industry if I can do that. So that's 2020 plans. Well, it was, and then when I got a little bit interrupted, and then I've gone forward. I don't know. There's this virus. Yeah. So yes. So that's sort of me in a nutshell. So don't look at my website at the minute. Wait a couple of weeks. I'm in the process of updating it. Suddenly I have all this time.
That's perfect. That's great. Gianluca, I cannot see you, but I can hear you. So
I don't know what's happening because I have
we
my
disabled
camera.
video.
I don't know what happened. I will try to disable the camera and enable it again, but I don't know what's happening.
Do you have a wire to connect to the Ethernet?
No, actually,
no?
Right now everything is wired.
Okay.
I'm
sure at some point
I have the wire, because of course the social recruiting show on Friday, because we stream out on LinkedIn, we have to be wired. It was like going back in time to put the wire in. It was very
odd. Give me just 1 second. I will try to reconnect in 2 seconds, sure. Because if not, I don't know what to do. 1 second.
Okay, don't worry.
At least we can hear him.
Exactly. So that's very interesting. Do you when you said you have 3 different events in the UK,
yeah, well, yeah.
what's
So
the event is the location or
so what happened was when I was training recruiters in HR in social recruiting and sourcing, I realized that HR was better than I thought it was. Does that sound really bad, guys? Sorry. But they didn't necessarily get a chance to speak. So the people that were really disrupting and really improving the world of HR didn't have anywhere to speak. So Disrupt HR came out of the US, and all the talks are 5 minutes long. And so I started running it in London, and now I run 4 of them. So it is a side hobby. My main love is obviously the recruitment, the candidate experience, all of that. So, oh my God, there's his beautiful face.
Hello. Finally.
Perfect, Gianluca.
So nothing. It's an honor being with you guys and sharing experiences with you, Jordi. I had the pleasure to meet, and of course, Katrina. I've been following your work for many years. No, it's amazing. We will get to know more about this today. So my experience is 10 years on HR and talent acquisition specifically. I'm always passionate about finding our purpose and understanding why we are recruiters, not just recruit for a position and fill it and that's it, but actually knowing our purpose, knowing the reason behind. And that's why I wrote this book.
Move your fingers so we can see it.
It's called El Camino. It came because
does it come with subtitles for me, or is
it's an English version for you? Yeah, this book is just based on coaching to help people find their purpose in their lives, because I had the opportunity to go to El Camino de Santiago and find my own. So now I'm building a Livt, that it's a brand that is looking to elevate the talent of people by diverse ways, as Katrina is doing now. That I love that approach, facilitating people tools to be better, to learn, and speaking and all these sort of things. Passionate about talent acquisition and looking forward to learn from you.
Yeah, no, I really like. Both of you have an approach that I really like, and this approach to what Gianluca was doing some weeks ago also was webinars to help people learn how to do their CV, to be more, authentic, actually, to show what their people is, about, not to try to sell yourself about something you're not. And
also, did you notice how interesting it was that obviously a lot of recruiters have found themselves without jobs at the minute, and the recruiters aren't really sure how to find a job? I don't know if you've noticed that. And you're kind of going, if recruiters who recruit people don't know how to find a job, how the hell are the normal people meant to find a job, right? So what you're doing by helping them is so important, because out of the industry, people are clueless. If they've been in their job for 5 to 10 years, the way we recruit's changed so much, right? It's like, where do you start? Where do you go and find a job? It's different world. So that's awesome that you're doing that.
And right now, with all the technologies, as you said, that are evolving, and we're seeing many diverse ways of doing that, I think it's an important moment to understand how candidates will readapt to this new market and this new way of approaching, and also companies. But so yes, totally agree with you.
Definitely.
Let me jump to the subject that triggered kind of all these because I think you're starting to come up with subjects that will have to do with what we would going to talk. And I think the first one would be, at least the first question that came up to me when all this started to happen. I was curious to know what other people was going through. So in your realities, in your work, what was your first reaction? What was your first, even insight or thought when the news of the quarantine came up? Not only, of course, the health situation and the more like social situation, but more in terms of your day-to-day and your reaction in terms of work.
Do you want me to? Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. How brutal are we going to be? So remembering that I'm a one-person limited company. That's so I do work from home, but I watched all of my work get postponed, and then I watched all the flights cancel along with that. So it's like a double whammy, a bit of salt in the wound just to make it a bit more painful. So all of my work has been pushed back indefinitely. Some of it's starting to fall back in though, yes. So initially I personally was like, I feel a bit sick. I thought, oh my gosh, it's 2008 again. I don't think I can do this. And I did hit I grieved for 5 days straight. And also at the same time, I saw almost a fight going on between people who have a salary, who are not going to end up furloughed or redundant, so secure jobs, saying stay at home, and I'm going, please don't stay at home, because there'll be no income in this household. Because my ex-husband, who I randomly live with, is a freelance gym instructor, so of course nobody going into town, no gyms, no income. And I was sitting here going, oh my god, like, we knew we were okay, like we know how long we can survive, but it was that awful, like, you guys are over here yelling that you want this, but you don't understand. It's not just about saving lives. There are people losing their entire livelihoods and businesses, full stop, and that they're sacrificing that to save their lives. So there was an initial bit of like, ugh. But then I went, oh, isn't this lovely? I have breathing space. I have wanted to do this mastermind for ages, and I've been getting really busy. Now I'm like, okay, I can take this online. This is huge impact. No impact on the planet, massive impact on community. Do it from home, transform lives. I thought, oh, no, this is great. So it's actually given me the space to do that. But I had to get over the initial panic of this is going to be 2008 again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the worst thing about being older and having been through it before, is you go straight to the panic. So I'm not quite sure if that was the answer, but that's how I felt anyway.
Yeah, no, I think many people, like, sorry, Gianluca, just as a thought, but I asked other people who has companies. I mean, I'm not a one-person company, but we're less than 10 people. We're very small. So first thing I do is ask people around. And some people that I know that have smaller companies, they had to do what in Spain is like a temporary, what's the word? The temporary.
Well, furlough. Like, so furlough their employees probably. So you kind
Exactly.
of put them on hold.
What was going to happen?
The worst thing here is that if you are self-employed on self-assessment, you get up to £2,500 a month. If you're an employee, you get up to that amount. But if you are a one-person limited company or the director of a 10-person company, you get cool. Sorry, I didn't say that. Nothing. I mouthed it. So I could furlough myself and get like a week, like 600 quid a month. Like, I'm sorry, it might just about cover the rent. Like, so it was, and I can't just stop my business for 3 months, can I? Like, I've managed. I have, yeah, exactly, and I have managed to bring in $300. So far, yes. Yeah, no,
that's one step forward.
I know, but it was like that came in a few weeks. But yeah, no, and again, I'm fine. So, but that was also quite a kick in the teeth as well. But I was emergency appointment at the chiropractor yesterday because he's meant to be shut, and he was saying like they've fallen through the cracks altogether. So as a business, they're not getting anything, like the business rates reduction, nothing. And you're just going, what? But they're not allowed to be open either. But the restaurants and retail are getting, but not the health workers who can't work. It's fascinating. So all very messy. Anyway, sorry, I keep talking too much and looking get a word in.
So I guess, and I totally agree with you, Katrina. It depends on the markets. We have a decline, of course. I didn't have the opportunity to experience the 2008 crisis and hiring after that, and it's super amazing.
You're a baby.
Almost. But we can see that since 2009, for example, I'm going to talk first on HR because that's our industry. Since 2009 in HR, there have been invested more than 16 billion euros on tech, on just HR. So that means that almost 3,000 companies have been benefited from that.
Yeah.
And as our market is, the first thing that I thought was how to help people, because I understood that maybe in HR there are certain markets that are doing well, but as Katrina said, maybe directors or owners of boutique agencies or people that are in retail or in diverse markets that are suffering the most. My first reaction was to think on how I can help them, apart from of course, helping the company that I'm working now, that it's global, to grow. So it was 60 to 70 hours a week workload to try to help. But that was my first initial reaction, to think about the markets and how we can help, how can we adapt.
Yeah, and it's all about adapt, isn't it? Fast, flexible. And it's really interesting that you said 2009, because that's when I started my business.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah. So because I was in a recruitment agency that was extremely toxic, and I was running 40 IT contractors, and then overnight I was not. And they were in like a whole range of clients as well. And it was just literally everyone just terminated them. And then I didn't bill a thing, because it was like I hadn't had to do business development for 5 years. So I was like, clueless in how to do it. And of course you couldn't at the time. So I then left that world and then started up my business, then went in-house recruiting for a while, and then came out and started training. So actually, because of the recession, it gave me the opportunity to get out of something I hated and start something new. And I think we will see, again, a similar, lots and lots of startups come out of this.
I think it's already happening. And we saw that in the last decade also, if we talk about technology, like WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, all of those companies arose from. That's a really interesting point.
Yeah. I mean, that's when I find it really funny, when everyone's complaining about working remotely, and I'm going, you should have tried doing this 10.5 years ago. Like, this didn't happen. We use the phone and call people. It's like the technology changed in the last 5 years alone is extraordinary. So.
It's amazing. Yeah, I totally agree. In fact, what I'm in our case, I mentioned the other day, we're hoping this gets popular because of all this. We all end up having this meeting in the virtual world.
I'm not sure about the yellow though on me. Can we order a different color?
That's a good point.
Can I have my orange? I like my little
for
orange.
glow, maybe.
Can I have one branded just for me? No.
That would be the future.
So how are you finding it then, Jordi?
The thing for us is that since virtual reality is not common yet in the office, so we're not selling purely software. We're selling the integration of hardware. So the part of the process where we need to do the demo, we cannot do it now.
Right.
So as long as this doesn't last, 6 months in terms of quarantine, we might be okay, because I think we're small enough to as we said, to be nimble and adapt and be agile. And I think I'm hoping, actually, I have the same view of what you were sharing. I'm hoping in 5 or 7 or 10 years, we'll be able to say, the second or third year of our company, we went through the crisis.
Yeah.
And it reinforced us so much. It gave us so much strength, because I, from the beginning, tried to, implement kind of like a mentality of, how would I say this, agility and everything. But once you go through this, then it's real, right? So it's very justified now to say certain strategies in terms of expenses, or in terms of, of the way to do campaigns, or the way to sell, or whatever. So I really think it will strengthen us.
That's what I think is going to be the really fun part, right? So we talk about this agility. So all of these HR departments, so like keeping talent acquisition and recruitment out of the human resources department. So all the human resources departments were like, oh no, our staff have to work in the office. They cannot, blah, blah, blah. The old fashioned, no one can possibly work at home. And then all of a sudden, boom, they had to be agile. They had to get everybody within 2 weeks working at home. So imagine the flip side. This is the bit I think is going to be funny, is when they want everyone to come back into the office and people go, nah. And I think people will.
Yeah.
I think one, there'll be fear and stress that people won't want to come back into the office, but the other will be, no.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen this.
Sorry, I'm trying to work out if it's raining. But sorry, I'm being distracted, but I think it's my neighbor. Sorry.
It's okay. I don't know if you got this in through WhatsApp or something. There was this image that said, who contributed most to your culture transformation? It says the CEO, the CIO, and then coronavirus.
Pandemic. Yeah, right.
It's changing the whole culture, how we work. Totally, it's making everything give one step forward and making everything more fast.
Yeah,
totally agree.
And I think the companies that the companies that really do try and force people back into the office, they're going to lose out, because I think people will leave. They might stay, but then leave.
Need to be a transition and also adapt to the new ways of working. Maybe give more work from home days or more flexibility. It's a total challenge now. That's super interesting.
How do you think? since we're talking a little bit about this, how do you think, where's the balance between this transition of going back and then, keeping companies remote a little bit in all this process in terms of HR and, even in terms of attracting talent? Is that something that the team can do completely remote?
Yeah, gotcha. Completely.
Yeah,
The in-house role I had, I worked completely remotely because I couldn't sit in the little office having salary conversations or rate, contractor rate conversations because the office was this big. Like everyone would have heard me going, "I'm sorry, you want how much?" It was so. Actually, I always worked remote doing that. And now with video interview, you can do so much. I do think in person, you get to feel the energy of the person more, so you do get more of an insight. But I don't see why not. You can still take them on virtual tours around the office with your video as well. But I think what it comes down to is that adapt. So let people have the option to do one or the other. And also the companies that haven't been able to hire, say, developers, because they've insisted that they come into the office. So, and they're like, well, the developers don't want to. So, but I also think of that other thing where you have those open plan offices and everyone's wearing these noise cancelling headsets and not talking to each other. They're messaging each other because they don't want to be heard. And now they're all at home having Zoom conversations or any of the other technologies that are available that are like Zoom that are slightly more secure to chit chat, right? And they're having drinks and they're having quizzes and they're actually getting to know each other. And like you said before we came on, we're like concerned about our background. Let's like pretend that this is our office. And you're seeing inside people's homes and getting to know them better. So I don't know. Sorry, I'm talking way more than you are. You've got to talk over me. Talk over me. I can keep going for English.
Don't worry. I do believe the same. We're in a paradox right now that it seems that with COVID, we need to avoid human contact and be more close. But again, as Katrina said, this is an opportunity to do more and to focus more maybe on personalization. We experience the moment with everything. It's evolving into the digital era, right? So as Katrina said, we have Zoom and many other more secure tools and things happening.
Zoom's fine. Use a password and cover your camera.
Exactly. That's the only thing. But this will change. It's helping candidates through not just candidates, but the whole HR department through all the areas. We're talking about reshaping again. So candidates, how they will adapt to the market and how companies will sell, as Katrina said, how many work from home days a week you can have, or maybe you can go 100% remotely. We can see many tools such as Tiny Post that actually Katrina mentions in her book. It's really good. And Culture Amp, for example, that gives you insights about the employee experience. I need one, guys.
The royalties go here. The royalties go here. So they go to charity. So,
He's not making it to be rich.
This is how you sell more books, honey. You just constantly go. I'm kidding. I'm being rude.
Which, by the way, we're giving one away. We're giving one away to everyone who is attending the webinar. At the end of the webinar, we'll look at the live storm thing tells us who attended.
Well, better not be Journey. She already has one.
Okay.
But it's really great. In the recruitment industry, your book is one of the top five must-have books in my consideration. So there will be a very lucky winner. So yes, basically we have a lot of tools. We have even AI coming that we will have the chance maybe to talk a little bit more and now. But there's many tools coming, so now it's about how we adapt.
And I think it's also how you use the tools when it comes to the candidate engagement experience piece. And this is what the whole book is about, is that can we stop using it as a barrier? Hence the whole mastermind is like about developing human skills. So, even though I'm talking a lot, I'm aware I'm talking a lot and possibly cutting off others and so it's like having that self-awareness, having the influencing skills, having creating trust and all of that. We've got so used to hiding behind technology that we've forgotten in the recruitment process. That's all really, really important. So it's
always been important. It's been important for everything, right? It's not only for the recruitment process. At the end, what you're talking about is about interpersonal communication. It would be useful for leaders, for any type of manager, for your personal life, But I think at the end, what you're saying is like, look, for this is critical because you're dealing with people. You're not dealing with, spreadsheets.
And I think if you think about the change, sorry, I keep talking too much. Just let me out on my own. Let me out on my own next time. Like seriously, I'll just sit here just talking. Right? I'm the
no worries.
Sometimes I'm quieter. Today I'm just really chatty. The difference in what people need as skills as well going forward. Like this has shown us about that adaptability, that thinking on your feet, that problem solving. Like, you know what? You're now at home. You need to be self-sufficient. You need to just get on with it. And some people are just sitting here reeling because they haven't ever had to develop those skills.
Yeah.
So I think going forward, we're going to need more of that because this probably won't be, sadly, the only one of these we have.
I agree. But I agree that also with this moment of reeling, people will get to, there's a moment that they will need to get out and do more. It has to happen.
I remember there was this creativity exercise that we're doing at Stanford some years ago, where they would tell the different teams of an MBA, they would give them $5. They would say, go out and get as much money as you can from these $5, and then in a week you have to present, and then let's see who makes the most of these $5. And the conclusion was, if you want me to tell you the conclusion of it, it was a creativity session with this professor called Tina Silic. She's very good.
Right.
And the conclusion at the end was like the teams that made the most was the ones that were not thinking about the $5. They took the $5, they put them in a pocket and said, okay, how can we, what other assets do we have to make this? And the final asset for them was the time for the presentation in the Stanford MBA. And so they saw that those 5 minutes or 3 minutes time to a company that was selling stuff to the target audience that was MBA students. So what I'm trying to say, the reason I'm explaining you this anecdote is because I think sometimes the workplace was distracting us from what we were talking about, which is the work, the value that we want to generate in any industry.
Yeah.
And I think we're forced to forget about, how you go dressed at work, how you interact at the cafeteria, how many people feel like in person, and now all of a sudden all the conversation is like what's on the documents we're presenting, on the Zoom calls we're talking about. And I think it will bring value, and maybe we'll even see productivity go down as we go back to the office. Maybe
I do believe the same. I think it has raised now. Productivity has raised a lot. Imagine you don't need to think about society and socialization and what happens with if I go with this or I do that, or your mind is much more fresh.
I cut my own fringe. I did it.
Good.
I did it. Yeah. Hang on. This question is really awesome, except I have no idea how you say that. I'm so sorry. I cannot say your first name. There is plenty of stress around employers, candidates, just the vibe in the air. What can we do about it? How can we improve this general feeling?
That depends on what we're doing. But for example, in Globo, what we're doing is that the CEO itself sent a message saying like, hey, now is a moment in which we all must unite. It's not like competitor is doing this and the other person is doing this. No, we must unite all together and understand that maybe the delivery people out there are actually heroes and they are actually working to bring us and keep us safe. And then in the same way, communication, for example, should be through employer branding, that we are taking care of those things for them. So that's one side. And when candidates are already inside the process, I think that's our moment to be counselors and to be there with them and to get this extra call, this extra 10 minutes and say, hey, I'm here with you. What do you need? And give transparency information. What do you think?
Guessing that you're possibly an agency recruiter. How do I say her name? Is it her?
Xenia.
And I just assume that's a female because it's got a K, so that's dreadful to be a male. So is that a Spanish name? Is that why I can't?
It's a Russian, I think. My wife is Russian, so I know that it's
Russian. Okay, fantastic. So I'm assuming you're an agency recruiter by what you've written. Well done, Jordi. Yay. So my recommendation is, hi, Mr. Client, how are you? How are you today, as in just as starting as part of an agency? Oh, bad timing that. You'll be okay. Okay. So how are you today? How is this impacting you today? Have you thought about how you're going to come back from this out? Like, what are your plans for the future? How are you bringing people back in? Like, have you thought that far ahead? Like, just generally, how are you? And I love Ian Pettigrew always says this, how are you today? Because it's quite a different question to how are you?
Just a general how, yeah.
And I think with the candidates, often you don't have any communication for them. So you tell them, I have nothing for you. I haven't forgotten you. You're still really important to me. I have no news. No news is news. If you check in with them. So I talk about Stacey Zapar in the book, and she does a Friday blitz. So every Friday she rings every single candidate that's in her process, that's in the hiring process somewhere, and tells them potentially nothing, but she gets in contact with them and lets them know, I haven't forgotten about you. This is where we're at. And I think it's even more so during this period. And Stephen Kosakow, who I had on the social recruiting show last Friday, was talking about, he's in the interview process. The companies that are messaging him and saying, look, we're so sorry. We don't know where we're at. Like we're just pausing at the moment. Can you please bear with us? He's just got so much respect for, because they're just being really honest. Now he's muted himself. What are you up to?
No. I have over there.
It tells you everything, this technology. It's amazing. I'm like, oh, look, he's naughty. He's muted himself. So what do you think of that?
Jordi?
Do you agree?
I do believe this the same. To give and this goes related to candidate and employer experience, that should be just one itself, and it's about following up that approach. It's just amazing. Doing it one day a week, you just put and you are there following up on each of the candidates that you have. I think that's crucial, and it's how you. I remember also, I'm a passionate also about sports. I made an MBA on sports because I think talking about teams and how they are managed, this is another interesting topic. And there's one manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, that always said, each person talks, you need to talk to each person different. Each person is another world. So not just understanding what people do you have, but also empathizing with them on, as Katrina said, how are you today? If you know that your candidate loves Star Wars, why not talking about that and try to distract their minds until through there and empathizing more. So it's communication plus empathizing.
And also maybe just giving them some tips of how you're coping as well. So we're all, I'm not, because I've been doing this 10.5 years, but everyone else is like going, oh my goodness, I'm working at home now. This is really weird. Like right now while I'm talking to you, I literally have a dog at my feet, which is just quite very cute. I'd show you, but there's dust down there. And I'm used to that constant distraction. My neighbors have just gone up and down the stairs and the other dog's doing, it doesn't bother me, but sometimes it's nice to share that, like have a routine, try and get up the same kind of time, at least leave the house before you start your day, have set breaks and things like that. And all of that will ease people. Particularly some people think, oh, I have to be at my desk the whole day. Well, no, you don't, because you're never at your desk at work, right? You go off and you make coffee and spend 20 minutes chatting. Why can't you throw a load of washing on? It doesn't matter, So
that's true. Totally true. At least at least your dog doesn't bark. That's good.
Shall I show you? This is really embarrassing and unprofessional. Can you see him? There's one there.
Black and white.
I know he's brown. He's actually brown, but you wouldn't know. He's in the shadow down there.
What is his name?
That one's Banjo, and the other one's Lance.
Banjo.
Yeah. They're being very good because they want their walk, so they're being great. What's Anissa written here? We have done the same at my company for some role. We paused. Yeah, we wrote the candidates being transparent and the feedback from the candidates being 100% positive. Yeah. So actually, all I would say on that, and I'm sure Anissa's done this, is make sure you put your name on the communication. So you're getting this thing like, oh, the roles on pause. We'll come back to you, the talent acquisition team. No, Katrinay Collier. Here's my phone number. Chase me up if you don't hear from me. Like, follow me on Instagram. Find me on LinkedIn. Create more connection all the time. Hook people in more. You're wooing them. It's our job as a recruiter to woo.
Yeah, I always feel like people has a hard time going like transparent about who they are as a person inside that company. And I think that some companies help people be themselves inside the company, and some people help themselves. And so they have a hard time saying, I mean, Gianluca, for example, works at Globo, and he's Gianluca from Globo, and he sends the messages and these actions he does, and he's like, hey, I'm Gianluca from Globo. And he's like, I really liked it when he showed this video on the talk. It's awesome. You see this company, but you're talking to a person, and still not so common, sadly. People have a hard time because one of the things I think in your book you're sharing, which is people don't know how to build a personal brand. No, I'm serious. I mean, it's good.
They don't. Well, it's really funny
cool.
because one of the reviews on Goodreads, this person only gave me a 3, and I looked up what she did. We will ignore the fact someone gave me a 1 star. I mean, seriously. Anyway, moving on. I looked up what she did, and she's in recruitment marketing, and I thought, okay, so if you're in a company and you're all about employer brand, you're not really going to be comfortable with this, because I am talking very one-to-one. Because I agree. Gianluca is the face of that company. So just be approachable, be trustworthy, be someone I want to talk to. So
exactly.
I get the 3 star. Yep.
if we don't focus on that, as Katrina says, we are not giving the experience, we're a process. And instead of being Gianluca or Katrina or Jordi, we're a process for Mentor VR, the Searchologist, Disrupt, Global. So I do believe that.
Yeah.
And what for Anissa said also, that's amazing what she's doing about being transparent. I will also add, and this is something that is happening in Spain, that people is transparent, but they forget to update their job posts. Update your job post, putting your job post on hold, or just delete it until you have it open again, because if not, you create false expectations.
Absolutely. And we are still hiring. Is a really great thing to write for people right now, or on pause, like, you know, even like we this is on pause, but we still want to talk to you because we know we'll come out of it again. It's like, you know, but it is that funny thing, isn't it? Like you send your CV and do you call them CVs or resumes? I never know who. That document, right? That annoying document that none of us can write. But we spend several hours putting it together and applying for a role. And then we just get this, like, you know, thanks for your application, the talent acquisition team. And if you're right, we'll talk to you. And if not, it's gone into the rubbish bin. And it's like, don't put your name, like be transparent. I love that. What's going on over here? It's so exciting. We tried to feedback by video call instead of email. Oh, Sylvia, that's so awesome. You get a gold star, 10 out of 10. High five.
Really good idea.
Yeah, that's awesome, isn't it? What else have we got there? Oh, there's a common stereotype, at least in many companies I've seen, that recruiters, the kind of person who is hard to reach, somewhat distant, which of course is totally true. It's totally not true, sorry. How can we fight this? Chapter 2.
That's a good answer.
I have never, by the way, Julie, back me up on this. I have never plugged my book as much as I have been in this. I'm being dreadful.
Justified. It's justified.
When she wins it. But it's all about, actually, so much of it's, see, show you're a recruiter we're talking to. So much of it is this profile picture, right? You see these profile pictures and you're like, I want to talk to that person. They can look angry. They can look unprofessional. I know a recruiter who was rejected from a role recently because of her unprofessional LinkedIn picture. So LinkedIn is not the place you put your Facebook and Instagram photos, okay? You put your straight up photo, right? Just your face. While you're job searching, do what you want when you work there. Actually, no, that's bad. I didn't say that. And it's that, right? Fill out your profiles, stop being cryptic, add value, like always pay it forward, that kind of stuff. What would you add to that?
Do you think is that maybe is not for everyone? And what I mean by that is I remember when Facebook came out, I was kind of like one of those early adopters. Oh, this is amazing. I'm going to sign up and share with everyone. I'm going to connect with everyone. And, you know, we're going to see each other's lives. And that's going to be cool, right? And most people, or many people, would look at me and be like, no, I don't get it. You know, I don't know if it happens. So I feel like for me, it's very natural to have to think about how this is me. Yeah, this is what I want to, you know, transmit about me, because this talks about me, my LinkedIn profile and my Instagram. And when I post something, I think, is this me, or am I getting carried away by the, you know? But
it has
not
to be you.
Like that, right?
It has to be you.
Totally agree.
And not everyone wants to do it. Not everyone wants to share. Not everyone wants to think about themselves.
But then don't. But then have a, because I do see what some of the recruiters get up on Instagram, because they add me at conferences and I accept and then discover all this stuff I don't need to see. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Like the girl that does yoga in the news. It's like, what? I just like, no. Why are you putting that on Instagram? But yeah, anyway. No, of course you don't have to be that open. But when it comes to LinkedIn, which is the one, LinkedIn has the lowest user base. But when you Google a name like mine, or probably Gianluca, yours would come up as well, right? Right at the top of Google is your LinkedIn. So people are going to look at you. So are you showing your best side? Because it's the professional network. With Facebook, I think you should shut it down. And I mean, I use it absolutely for work, but hide everything away.
Yeah.
Exactly. But with all that you say, I must add also that it's if you're a recruiter and you have a purpose, that's why also I empathize a lot on that. If you have a purpose, you transmit that, as you say, with everything you do. Katrina is not just on LinkedIn, and you will not find her and her book, but you will find her engaging with their audience. And if someone asks, hey, what do you suggest about this? She gets the time to actually answer to the people that is engaging. So I think it could be a stereotype that it has been generating the past years, but it's something that we as recruiters and talent acquisition experts must change with the actions and the purpose, showing that we care because we are doing this because we love it, or because we want to change people's lives.
What a beautiful time to do that. Like if we look at, and I know this was one of your questions, I'm just getting in before you haven't had a chance to answer. I think we've gone right off. He's finished this list of questions, and I've of course gone right off over here. But what is the benefit of what's happening right now? On a spiritual level, I think this is very much to get us to sit up and see as humans the damage that we have done to the planet that we share. Right? We're all sitting here going, wow, actually not right now. For the entire last 2 weeks, we've had blue sky in London, believe it or not. Right now, no, typical. Probably because I'm talking to people in Spain who've got blue sky all the time. But, we've had crystal clear skies. The canals are clear. They can see the Himalayas in India, right? We're getting to see our impact. So that's getting you as a recruiter or a company to be able to go, well, what can we do differently? How can we reduce our impact on the planet? How can we take our offering online? What can we do to improve processes? It's a great time for recruiters to upskill. Read Gianluca's book, not just mine. And but do you know what I mean? We've got a time to learn and to grow and to get better at what we're doing, because we now have suddenly got time. All that stuff we were going to do. Yeah.
Totally.
So I think it's a really good opportunity to just learn and grow. Sorry, ranting again. I think that's the good side of what's happening here. Is we really we're getting data that we'll never get again.
It's forcing us to stop.
Yeah.
And sadly, sometimes humans, we don't do things until we're forced to, even the things we really want to, right? So
that's true.
Sorry, Gianluca, go ahead.
No, after all of this, we also will be more united, and people will understand the value of things, as Katrina said, but also mixing with what is important, what's happening. How I can help the other, how I can actually do more, and it's a mix of both.
We're all in isolation, all talking to our neighbours more than we ever have. It's which is an odd thing in London. Do you know any good social media beyond LinkedIn to get in touch with candidates? There are many. It all depends what you're recruiting. It literally depends what you're recruiting. So I need her to write that.
It depends. Maybe the Muse, one of this job board that lets you explore companies, or I don't know. It depends on what you're.
So for tech, again, it would depend which bit of tech. But if you're data scientists, they're on Kaggle. You will find developers on Twitter. Yes, I said Twitter. Of course, they're on GitHub and Stack Overflow. But if you can't speak tech, that's not going to help you at all, because most of us recruiters can't. But you can certainly go and follow and interact, read their blogs on Medium,
Goodreads, Udemy,
and give me a not 1 star on Goodreads, please. Can't believe that, but it's go and read and go and learn. And I think with the technical people, where I think a lot of recruiters go wrong, is they actually love to teach and share. And if you ask, I don't understand what this is, can you help me? Oh my God, they'll so help you. What is it? You particularly in-house, you can sit with them and say, what do you do all day? Explain it to me. Let me make recruitment better if I understand really what you want, what you're looking for and what you do all day as well.
Exactly. And to that, I just can add, Mariana, that any social media, it's a way of communicating, but you need to understand also the generations of each of your market, right? So your market are tech engineers or data scientists. Understand where they are, as Katrina said, Kaggle, for example, data scientists, Stack Overflow for other ones, even Instagram. The idea is to speak, empathize, and speak their own language, so you can create bondings. But YouTube. I got a hiring from YouTube. I searched Java developer on YouTube, and I saw the videos of the person. I contacted him, and after that, we engaged into a process. So the whole world, the whole internet, it's a place to find. You just need to be curious.
I also think one of the big points in this, and actually it's a really nice time to do this because again, we have time, right? So, you know, what are you doing? Well, I'm building my talent pipeline. So to get in touch with candidates, that bit kind of scares me when it comes to tech, right? In London, for example, there are 5 job vacancies per developer, and this pandemic is not going to change that. There will still be 5 job vacancies for every developer. And most recruiters just spam their in-mail or their email inbox. There's spam, spam, spam. I like urgent requirement for one of these, want a job, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's exactly the same copy and paste message. And you won't get a hire doing that. You need to take the time to really understand what they're doing and make sure your approach is really unique. For that, Shamila van der Turen is a really excellent person to follow for how she communicates. It's really good.
Okay.
Sorry, having a rant again. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
So hard to believe that I'm ranting again. I think it's important for a recruiter to understand tech terms.
So
yes.
No, I think it's. So the summary to get to the positive side of it, I think we said several things, but what would you say? Because I see that it generated a moment of uncertainty, like we said, and then it generated the situation where we have to communicate with the candidates and everything. But once this is over, you think what will really stuck? We were talking about the mentality, but how will we notice? You think the change in behaviors even? Do you think it will change, or we will go back to normal?
No, it will readapt to. I do believe that it will readapt to the new situation. It depends the timing within each market, because, for example, Spain is a services market, so it will take more time than the United States or UK that are different markets. So it depends on the market. But I do believe it will change because we already are seeing a lot of first artificial intelligence and machine learning movers on the industry and HR. And we need to be ready for that. So again, for example, there are automated screenings. So we need to be aware on what we are sharing. As Katrina said, you don't put your Facebook picture on LinkedIn. Understanding the natural language processing and pattern recognition that will start to read our CVs. So how to make a CV to pass that artificial intelligence, no? And there are
you shouldn't have to do that, right? but like you're talking about, like we were talking at either end, which is really cool. You're talking about the fact recruiters, that the technology is trying to replace you, and that's why I'm
and I agree with you. You never be replaced by technology because
so the software vendors will tell you that, right? So, but no, you can't. But only if you really develop your human skills. So, what have you needed through this? That adaptability, the flexibility, the resilience, determination, self-starting, get going, whatever the freaking word is. You know what I mean? You've needed all of this. So they're the skills, I believe. Full stop, whatever industry you're in the future are going to be very, very necessary. Oh, hello, Timothy. Long time no see. I had no idea he was there. Sorry. Oh gosh, I'm suddenly in a bar drinking with him. Right. So, my liver. He's a fantastic human. But it's those are the ones that people are going to need in full stop going forward. This has highlighted that even more. But it's really how the companies behave going forward. So if they don't allow us to remain being all flexible and giving, on output rather than hours sitting at the office, we don't know. I hope most of them sit up and want to reduce their impact.
Do you think because for the reason you were saying before, that there's a lot of demand, and especially in tech, and many companies are putting kind of like clear KPIs, very aggressive on how many people you should recruit and everything. Do you think, is it possible for everyone, or to what degree you can counteract the pressure of having to hire people? To what degree you can, because you can, I mean, both of you have a very human approach, and I really think it's the best way. But some companies need to hire 100 people in a month or 2 months, and they don't have the people and they don't have the resources because they're growing, so crazy. How do you either, convince the company that you need the resources, and how
That,
you either, do it by keeping this human touch?
Katrina, please.
No, you go. You know my answer.
No.
That ain't gonna work.
But, basically, you just cannot go to a conversation without that and without knowing what's happening. So they could have a staffing plan and their needs, but they need to understand how big is your team of recruitment, for example. Yeah. So your own resources, how many hours your engineers or your hiring managers can put in to interview each week. You need to understand how are your funnels, the history pass-through rates, the conversion rates, all the data of HR analytics. And with data, go to your hiring manager and say, okay, you're asking me 50, but realistically, with all the data that we have, we can do 30. We can do our best, but don't forget that we are all humans. Yeah. So there are other factors that can change decisions. But with data, then tell them what you can do. And then, sorry, Katrina.
No.
I get excited with that.
No, you answered that way better than I would have. I would have been like, get some facilitation, because some of the stuff I run through is really about like, okay, so you want to do that, and what's really realistic. It's like running a design sprint, and it's like doing that from a recruitment point of view to get them to realize, well, actually, we can't do this, because we've got these problems and we need to fix these first before we hire 100 people. Most companies are really unrealistic if they want to do that just like that. And particularly because guarantee they want people from Amazon and Google or something, and they're a startup nobody's heard of, which actually, this will be really interesting, actually, the tech market. Those startups are really going to struggle to hire now, because it's like, well, hang on a minute, are you actually going to be around? Because the pandemic's made people a bit cautious. So there'll be that side as well. Again, influencing skills, really understanding why your company will be okay, and offering that reassurance, real transparency from the FD that you're going to be okay.
You don't think that the this pressure will make, and it's making already, and I'm trying to think about the question that I don't know the answer to, but the answer, I mean, from your point of view, but especially in the fact that there's more pressure to find these profiles. Tech is becoming kind of excuse to do things more, inhuman, let's say.
Say that again. Sorry, I missed it.
Don't say that again, please.
No, I missed it. Like, you dropped in the middle.
Inhuman.
No. What I was saying is that through this situation, it increases the pressure. And so it was already like this before, but with this pressure, technology in general will allow people to do things even less human, because of what you're saying, the pressure for small companies, but also for big, it's even increasing. And so, you're even going to be more taking advantage of technology. And so the question, I guess, is more, how can we avoid it? How can we, is it just a matter of promoting your book, or,
I'll keep standing on the stage screaming that you can't do that. But I think people will start wondering, like, why. They need to look at why stuff isn't working. Like, what's going wrong here? Right? I'm sending 100 emails and no one's replying. Why is that? Like, what am I doing wrong? And they should get inquisitive about that and start, wanting to find out what the problem is. But you can't make people do that. My hope is that they will do that. But I mean, one of the things I say it in the book is, like, please don't go and buy technology that hasn't been created by recruiters or with the input of recruiters, that doesn't genuinely save you time so you can deliver a better candidate and hiring manager and recruiter experience, for that matter. It has to genuinely save you time, or please don't buy it.
Like, there are tons of, so yeah.
Yeah. Do you realize there was a question back here ages ago?
Me neither.
No, one wrote, any general advice for new candidates that are facing a move in their career? Hiring process will be the same. I'll go back to that influencing. Just give them more support. Hopefully he's still here. Oops.
Oh, you're right. I always miss these other sections.
I know. Right. It even got upvoted by 7 people and we didn't even see it.
That's a lot of activity. Oh, look, I even upvoted it by accident. Very good. So
yeah,
I think we've been around 56 minutes already, so it's been a pleasure, and I would, talk for hours. And I think you both also enjoy talking like me. So
No.
but I think we've talked a lot about very interesting things during this situation, and mixed even, I think, with things that are important anytime, really. And so what this time brings us is, to rethink all these things that were already important, but now are more important. And so after this, might become critical to have some type of success. So do you want to add any final message after all these thoughts?
Be aware how, particularly if you're in-house, how you treat your clients. So, your actual customers, your employees, your candidates, and your suppliers. Okay. How you treat all of those is going to impact your recruitment long term. Everyone overlooks the suppliers because they're the ones they're not paying right now. And they're the ones that can monumentally damage your reputation going forward. So all of those matter because the world is transparent due to the internet and the fact everyone can write their opinion anywhere. So I think that's a really important point as well that I didn't kind of get to before, but that's right now. Well, be aware, the world is still transparent. Yeah.
And I will add to that, just understand your why. As Katrina said, in everything, understand the why of everything. Ask why every time, and you will find the answer.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree.
Perfect. I think that's the perfect message to finish then. Thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you.
I hope we stay in touch. We
should do part two. We definitely didn't say enough.
We need 1 more hour.
We can do exactly.
We need to plug your book as many times as in your one. Part 2. Your book is
El Camino.
We'll do the lotteries to everyone who attended. So,
how do we do it? Do you do that now? How's it work?
No, we'll just take everyone who sign up. There's some tools online to put a lot of numbers. We'll just go from one number to the other and put this, and the website will tell us one number, and we'll
let me know.
You can record it if you want, just to make it transparent, but I don't know now. I would show the emails of people on screen, and
no, don't do that.
So,
Timothy can buy his own, the cheapskate. Everyone else can go in the list if he's still there. He's ruined my liver, that man. Right, anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you
very much. Great to talk.
Stay safe. Have a great week.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.